Thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So with what's been going on, out there, outside, we know all about that. We know a lot of fights been postponed, a lot of fights been put on the back burner for the time being. There's a lot of cards that, especially in the month of May, we're kind of, will we see that? We've seen cards like Dubois versus Joyce pushed back until July. Really looking forward to that fight now, to be fair. I was really excited for that fight, but that's been pushed back to July. We've seen other fight cards like White Povetkin. Really can't see that happening, at least not on that given date. Usyk Chisora, maybe end of May, potentially, but early May, unlikely for fights like that. And the reason I bring that date up specifically was because that was the date penciled in for Canelo Alvarez's next fight. We heard so much back and forth as far back as last year, as far back as pretty much straight after the Kovalev fight, realistically, because he vacated that WBO light heavyweight title not long after that. Pretty much straight after that, it was like, ooh, who's Canelo going to fight next? Is it going to be Callum Smith? Is it going to be Billy Joe Saunders? Those were the two main names. We heard names like Murata mentioned, you might have even heard Munguia get mentioned briefly, but those were the two names that you could be pretty much sure, you could be pretty much convinced they were the two names that people wanted, They were the names that Golden Boy wanted. They were names that maybe not necessarily the Zone wanted, but we touch on that some other time. But they were basically the two names. Now Callum Smith, we heard that he turned down an offer from Canelo Alvarez, and that is what that is. I'm sure we're not told the full ins and outs of that, but from what we've been told anyway, that was the gist of it. Basically, he was turned down an offer from Canelo Alvarez. In comes Billy Joe Saunders, and we're hearing reports of 8 million being offered to him, and then this coronavirus happens, which puts that fight, on the back burner. But thing is, there's fights that are being put on the back burner that have been taking a backward step, that are signed, sealed, and announced. This fight was never announced. This fight was never signed, was never sealed, and looks like Canelo now wants to fight Triple. Well, we know Canelo was planning to fight Triple G. Pretty much, it was unconfirmed, but it was pretty much out there. It was well known that Canelo wanted Triple G in September, and given the fact that a lot of these events are getting pushed back, it may end up being that Canelo just goes straight into that Triple G fight. And obviously, when we're talking after that fight, who knows who he may fight, but that's essentially putting Billy Joe in kind of a bit of a predicament now at this stage. Billy Joe, who does he have to fight? Has he got a big problem? I think there are definitely fighters out there that I've covered who have bigger problems, but you're talking about potentially losing an £8 million payday, biggest payday of his career. I think was the Lemieux fight was the biggest payday of his career as it stands. And that was about £1 million he got for that fight, give or take. I think it was in around that region. £1 million, biggest payday of your career. You stood to make 8 times as much, maybe more. Given the fact of extras, that get chopped in. But you stood to make 8 times that fighting Canelo. That fight, like we see fights like Lopez versus Lomachenko, they're not announced, but they're pretty much a done deal, and they can be pushed back. This can't. If this doesn't happen in, we'll say, the month of June, it ain't happening. And I think Canelo, not even that I don't think we'll get fights back on in June, I think we will, but I think it might be a case of Canelo may look at this and just say, do you know what, I'll just take the Golovkin rubber match, and it's too quick a turnaround going from maybe say the end of June, start of July, straight into September. It's too quick a turnaround. So I can easily see Canelo just putting this fight on the back burner, not going down the Billy Joe route and just going straight for Triple G. As I said, in which case, where does that leave Billy Joe? Well, obviously the main fight you think about is Callum Smith, but with Callum Smith, you don't know what the crack is with him. You don't know, because he is promoted. No, he's promoted by Eddie Hearn, but he's managed by Joe Gallagher. We know Joe Gallagher is not, I think it's fair to say, in terms of a trainer, as we saw with Scott Quigg, he's not the sharpest tool in the box when it comes to the well-being of his fighters. And I think that goes in and outside the ring. Because if you're Joe Gallagher, and look, I don't know the ins and outs of that Callum Smith contract that was, offer, I won't say contract, offer that was given to Callum Smith. But it's really inexcusable to turn down a Canelo fight unless you have a seriously good reason. If you think you can beat him, all right, you take that fight, because the money you were going to make post that fight is astronomical. All right, and we hear people say, like, Sky kind of, fanboys say, well, actually, no, Callum Smith's the A side. Bullshit. All right, just leave it at that. So you could potentially have that fight, but would Joe Gallagher maybe get in the way? Maybe Callum Smith will move up in weight, because that guy is a big super middleweight. So would he not just move to light heavyweight? In which case, then who does Billy Joe have? Well, he could potentially fight John Ryder. Don't really want to see that fight from an entertainment point of view. I think that could be an absolute stinker. A lot of times when you get two southpaws, it doesn't bode for an entertaining fight. So I don't know if I'd like to see that. John Ryder obviously deserves another crack at his world title. I thought he was robbed against Callum Smith. He could potentially fight that Zach Parker guy. Zach Parker's coming off a win over that, what was it, Rowan Murdoch or something like that his name was. But that was built as 1 and 2 in the world for the WBO super middleweight world title. Realistically, that was a Commonwealth fight. Took 2 British level fighters, people. Realistically. Do I want to see him against Billy Joe? No. Is he going to fight Dave Benavidez or Caleb Plant? Hell no. He ain't going to fight any of them guys. One name, and I want to see Billy Joe fight this guy. One name that springs to mind, but could be easier said than done, would be Demetrius Andre. Love to see that fight. Wanted to see that fight October 2018. Really pissed off when the whole Billy Joe nasal spray thing came out. I want to see that fight. I want to see Demetrius Andre versus Billy Joe. I think Demetrius Andre beats Billy Joe, but it's a hell of a fight. I want to see it. Demetrius Andre is a switch hitter, not necessarily conventional southpaw. He can switch. So people might say, well, if you say John Ryder and Billy Joe is a snooze fest, Demetrius Andre can switch it up. Demetrius Andre is a very skillful fighter. Demetrius Andre is, I don't know if he's slicker than Billy Joe, but he has attributes that can offset Billy Joe, and it might make Billy Joe fight a different way. So a very interesting fight. I definitely want to see that fight. So those are some ideas for Billy Joe. Does he have a big problem? Maybe not the biggest problem in the world, but definitely the Canelo fight. If that doesn't go ahead, you're looking at 8 times, losing 8 times over your highest payday. And in fact, actually, he lost the big payday against Demetrius Andre the first fight. That might have been the one that was actually over $1 million. He might not have even got $1 million for the Lemieux fight. I know it was a decent enough payday he got, by his standards anyway at the time, the Lemieux fight, but it might not have even been $1 million. It might not have even been that. So, if he does lose the Canelo fight, it could be even more than that. It could be 9 times his career highest payday. But those are my thoughts on this. Let me know yours down below. Is Billy Joe a problem? And who would you like to see him fight next? Would you like to see him drop back down to middleweight? Do you think he'll get the Canelo fight? Leave it on down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk to you